Good morning and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in this morning's show, brewing your own alcohol used to be something you'd only whisper about. Now it's more popular than ever. We'll meet the national homebrew champ, who's from right here in Baton Rouge. He shares his secrets to success coming up. Then we reconnect with artist Mitch and find out why his art is now taking him to the hottest spots in the U.S. He has a new obsession, too. We'll explore this ancient world together. Then Dr. Nick examines the three theories of what drives us. Is it passion, purpose, or meaning? Find out. But first, we meet a local man making national headlines in the world of homebrew. Creating delicious beer requires insight, skill, and science. Tre Haydel has mastered it. He started homebrewing 5 years ago. Why?
Well, kids.
Hey, you want to pet my cat?
A lot of my time was spent cycling before then, outdoors, and after kids, I was more homebound. I was looking for another hobby to get into, and a friend of mine was, he was homebrewing, and I was homebrewing with him, and that's how I got into it. From there, was looking for a new hobby.
Have you always enjoyed beer?
I have.
Yeah.
Always been a beer guy.
Yeah, so you weren't going to make whiskey or wine. It was going to be beer.
It was beer.
Last year, his beer took first place in the National Homebrew Competition in Baltimore.
There's over 8,000, 9,000 beers that go into this competition, all different styles. There's like 130 different styles of beer in 34 categories.
He was so surprised, he wasn't even there.
I still kick myself for not going, but it was televised. We did have a party at the house and watching on the couch, and when I didn't get third or second, I was like, but I ended up coming through with it. So
how did you celebrate at your home party?
Well, we yelled a bunch, and then we called a bunch more people over, and I think I ran out a lot of beer that night.
It wasn't just a fluke. Tre's won a host of gold medals in regional competitions, too. He even won first place in the National Samuel Adams competition in Boston. But the National Homebrew competition is still his main focus.
It's the biggest competition in the world, and that's if you want some good feedback on your beer, and you got national qualified judges that are tasting your beer, and that's what I'm in it for, is to get some feedback, and that's how you get your feedback, is sending it to people who are experienced beer drinkers.
What does the first prize in Baltimore bring for the homebrew?
Street credit.
And that's it?
Well, they do send you a box of a bunch of nice stuff.
Okay.
But that's mostly it. It's just for fun. There's no money involved or anything. It's just it's a hobby.
It's a hobby that's exploding in popularity. Tre's a member of this one, the Bicycle Brew Club. Meetings aren't typical of most clubs. Theirs involve lots of beer tastings paired with food like pizza. It's no wonder they're so popular. And so are brew stores, like Keith Primo's LA Homebrew, a veteran homebrewer himself. Wow, this is a lot of stuff. What is it?
Okay, so when I like to brew, it goes back 15 years, I like to use a lot of different ingredients. So when I opened the shop, I built a shop that I would want to shop at.
Okay.
Basically.
The people who shop here are as varied as the ingredients.
It's amazing. The homebrew community and the people that homebrew, they come from all walks of life.
Really?
We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have judges, we have, you pretty much name it, teachers, a lot of engineers, a lot of computer people, and they just get drawn into the hobby.
It's a hobby Keith says is full of trial and error.
My first batch was undrinkable.
Oh, no.
It was actually awful. It was awful. So there's no way to go but up.
Beer recipes look intimidating, but Tre says it's worth trying.
Beer can be very complicated, or it can be very easy. You can, they make extract kits, and they make kits that are already put together for you for making a beer, and you can buy them at most any homebrew shop. The way I brew, I come from a scientific background, and I come from a culinary background, and both of them I find go very well together with making beer, and I think that's what attracted me to making beer, was just how much fun I have with cooking.
You mentioned those homebrew kits. Are they a good fun buy for people? Can you make a decent beer with those?
Absolutely. You can come into LA Homebrew in Louisiana, or there's homebrew shops in every state, and they'll give you instructions on how to do it. The investment, I think, is pretty minor, maybe $300 at the low end, but sky's the limit on how far you want to go with it. And they can get you pointed in the right direction for making very good beer. And a lot of these extract kits, they win awards too. I've been nudged out of competitions from an extract kit.
No kidding.
Yeah, they're not to be shunned.
For Keith, business is booming. Do you see that community of homebrewers continuing to grow?
Oh, absolutely. We set up probably a dozen new brewers every month.
No way.
And they're coming in and just getting started. And, you know, we have guys that have brewed for 20, 25 years. We have guys that have brewed for, 20 days. It's all, time frames.
And it's growing more popular every day.
It's just hobby-based, however much time and effort you want to put into it.
Yeah.
There's people at all different levels.
Oh, yeah. And, never short of friends.
No, that's the thing. If you're brewing, you're always the popular one on the block.
Tre takes home another first place medal coming up June 17th. And still ahead, a work of art in our neck of the woods. How artist Mitch Evans is mastering the art of the deal. Then Dr. Nick explores what drives and motivates us, and why the experts might be wrong, as Weekends with Whitney continues. Breck Summer Camp, your child's next adventure.
Where I made my first big splash!
Where I made the last shape.
Where I saw animals from all around the world. Where I traveled back in time. Where I caught my first glimpse of the stars.
Where I hit my first home run.
Where I learned to ride. Where I learned how to paddle.
So register for Breck Summer Camps starting March 25th and help your child build memories that will last a lifetime. Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. I first met artist Mitch Evans 18 months ago. He was doing incredible things with his art involving Louisiana woods. But as with life, art changes, evolves, and points in new directions. Mitch is still using Louisiana trees as his central focus, but now he's going a bit Japanese. Pieces of Louisiana, some 500 years old, are now hanging in homes around the world. For 16 years, artist Mitch Evans has taken the remnants of Louisiana's trees and transformed them from the ordinary into the extraordinary.
It looks like it's not even worth burning, but if you slice it and dice it just right, it's kind of magic.
That kind of magic has its roots in here, among dozens of varieties and cross-sections of wood. But Mitch gives it wings.
Every day I wake up and there's just something new pops into my head.
Still,
Yeah.
after all these years.
Everything changes, nothing stays the same, and I don't want it to stay the same.
New ideas are always taking flight.
3 months ago I got up and I wanted to make birds, and so I started making birds. This is my traveling art show right here.
And here is what Mitch calls an egret of his imagination. Like all of his art, it's made from a variety of wood.
You got some honey locust, and you got some cherry, and you got some red cedar, and you got some pecky cypress. The neck is all made out of holly, and this is from a red oak. The center of basically the fork of a red oak right there.
And what's the eye? I love that.
Bamboo.
Here's his first flamingo.
It's abstract. It's not going to be perfect feathers, but I think you get the idea.
Under here are his latest creations.
This is a bonsai tree that you never have to water.
I mean, how did you know?
Well, I didn't know anything about bonsai trees.
I know, and then what happened? You just made one day on canvas or what?
I think I saw an image somewhere and just thought, well, let's give it a shot and let's see if it's something or nothing.
It's definitely something.
You can see how the Pachycypress, you butterfly a couple of pieces like that and you make the bowl. And you just pile in a bunch of different wood oak burls right here. And it kind of mimics rock. And then this actually, I'm going to give a plug to my buddy Jeff Diamond. He supplied me the wood right here. This came off his tree that didn't make it through one of the storms one year. And it just had a perfect arch to it right here.
And what kind of tree is this?
That's cedar. That's
cedar, yeah.
Eastern red cedar.
Okay.
And then of course this is the Pachycypress. It's just the driftwood that you pick out of the swamp.
Mitch discovered bonsai has its own fascinating, complex culture.
The bonsai people are pretty intense about their little trees.
Did you have any idea?
No. To say that I didn't know is a huge understatement. So, and the more I learned about them, I mean, I was like, I've got to make a bonsai out of wood, like as wall art. And then of course, the number one selling point can be that you'll never have to water this thing.
Live bonsai trees are high maintenance and often high dollar.
Go to eBay. Really? and just go to eBay and see how much they want for those things. I mean, some of these trees are 100 years old, some are 200 years old, some are 1,000 years old. And they get just passed down from generation to generation to generation. And you can see why they've lasted so long. I mean, the maintenance and the upkeep is just, it's phenomenal.
And what prices do they get for this?
Oh, they can go up to $100,000.
Oh.
I've seen them that are $25,000 and $30,000.
It makes Mitch's bonsai that sell for less than $10,000 sound like a bargain. It must have been fun to emulate that onto your art.
It's awesome. I love it because I mean you can make it in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, as opposed to like
couple centuries.
Yeah, a couple centuries, right. We have another bonsai that's basically the same basic concept. What we've got here is we've got some black walnut that actually got pulled out of the Chaffalite Basin. It was a sinker walnut. And as you can see, it's the same basic format right here is the Pachycypress, the burled oak right here.
Oh boy, I love how interesting this is.
And that's just Mother Nature being Mother Nature.
Pieces of her are everywhere.
You are a brave woman coming back up in here.
Well, this is where the interesting stuff is.
This is the fun stuff.
It's a collection he's been hunting and gathering for years.
So that's half the fun, just going out there and finding this stuff.
Sure.
Because every once in a while you find something that just kind of blows your mind that you never saw coming, like this piece right here. Whoever thought that Mother Nature would make something like this? I mean, this is natural, naturally occurring Pachycypress, and it just, Mother Nature being Mother Nature.
It almost looks like a musical instrument, like a harmonica.
Did she really just try to play a harmonica on a piece of cypress?
I didn't do it. I'm just saying. That's the appearance of. Some, however, like this box elder, can lose its luster.
It's an old chunk of wood that when I finally, it dried out. It lost its color.
But it has some neat wormholes.
Oh, it's got some great wormholes, yeah.
But it's just the color you don't want.
The color got lost. It used to be where all this was like really hot pink.
Oh, okay.
And I mean really hot pink. And just through, natural aging, it loses that hot pink once it gets exposed to UV light.
But you don't want that color for something?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
It
hasn't spoke to me yet.
Other pieces almost scream at him.
This is going to be something interesting. This is going to be, I'm going to make a little bonsai out of this.
You are?
We're going to piece this together. We're going to make a little bonsai pot. We're gonna butterfly them together right here.
Ooh, like it.
And then we're gonna have a little bonsai tree popping out the middle. Just looking at all the little detail, the little waviness, you know, like when the branch bent and got pushed over, it wrinkled. And that's what you see how like Mother Nature, like the wood actually wrinkled right here.
Yeah, I know about wrinkles.
About wrinkles.
Morning. I don't like it. Mitch envisions things in a piece of wood I never see.
This is your harmonica that you were trying to blow through here. This is just another cross section of it. They were all married to each other. They're all consecutive slices.
Wow. I saw a harmonica, but you see...
Just forest floor.
Yeah. People are floored by his art across the country. Nearly a dozen times a year, Mitch and his art hit the road. In June, he's making his second trip to the prestigious, invitation-only Des Moines Art Festival.
Des Moines is a great little secret, I think, and maybe it's not a secret anymore. The festival director up there came from Austin, and he told me, he said, you know, Mitch, Des Moines is right now what Austin was 25 years ago. Huh. And we're trying to keep it just...
Weird?
No, they don't want it weird, that's the thing. Austin got weird, and Des Moines is just kind of funky cool, you know?
Okay.
And they have a great appreciation for art.
And your favorite is?
Well, I would have to say Des Moines for now.
Okay.
Just because they treat the artist so great up there. It's all about the artist. And the more and more I travel, the more and more I go to these different art shows. I mean, there's a lot of really good ones out there. Houston Bayou City is very good. The one in Fort Lauderdale was very, very good. But I'd have to say that the people up in Des Moines, they just know how to do it. They're top shelf.
He'll spend 12 to 14 hours a day for the next 2 weeks, creating as many pieces of work as he can.
I've got bonsai on the brain so bad right now, I can't quit. I would imagine I'll be into this for another 3 or 4 months, and then something else will come up and just, you know, get my interest, and I'll take off on that tangent. You know, wood talks to me.
So I hear.
Yeah. And the scary part is sometimes I talk back.
For more on Mitch's art and his next exhibit, check out his Facebook page. And still ahead, Dr. Nick examines the 3 theories of what drives us. Is it passion, purpose, or meaning? Find out.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
9-time winner of the prestigious Buick GMC Mark of Excellence Award. Are we driven by power, pleasure, or meaning? Dr. Nick joins us this morning with more. There are different opinions on this from the brightest of the bright.
I was rereading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning because I'm really fascinated with the World War II and the concentration camps, and reading him as a survivor. His whole book is about, you know, our search for meaning, and that he says we have, I love this line, he said we have the means to live, but sometimes we don't have the meaning to live. A very interesting insight. And then, you know, as I was reading, it was going on to say that, you know, Freud felt that we were driven to pleasure, which
we are
we
by
know
pleasure,
is real.
which we know is real.
We know is real. And Adler, another great leader in the psychology field and psychiatry, was about power, so that we're driven to have power. And no offense to Frankl, but I really believe that we've got all 3 going. We've got 3 tracks. It's like a railroad track with 3 instead of 2 that are running parallel with each other. Don't you think?
Yes, but wouldn't you say that some people are more driven by power? I mean, or that's their whole, like, they want to control everything, they want power? Or do you think we're all a combination of 3, but are some weighted heavier in different personalities?
I think that we are weighted in, I think we're weighted, yes. Some people just think life is about pleasure. I will give you that. And some people think it's about power. and greed and money goes along with that, because
Sure.
that's a power.
And then some people let's think of the nuns, and maybe, it's the meaning, it's the giving yourself over to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, and the three to me, Whitney, at their very best, though they really are kind of integrated. I'm thinking of, let's say someone goes into to the political arena and decides they want to become, a public servant and serve. There's definitely been driven by meaning. It's my purpose is to make the nation better,
Right.
Or the city better. But I would hope that they would get some pleasure from that.
Sure.
And I would also hope that that person would realize that they've got power.
And that they
And
have
to
to have some
use-
power to do all that.
Exactly. And they
I
want to
see.
use that power effectively, efficiently, and for the good,
That's
of the
key.
common.
For the good.
not, again, a power over, but I use that power in a way to really affect the kind of change that's real, healthy, and itself fruitful.
Yes, but
And empowering.
as we change, those change, right?
That's what always strikes me, is because I'm fascinated with developmental psychology. So I'm always thinking, what gave me pleasure when I was 21 doesn't now. What
You don't want to spend a whole weekend in the quarter now.
I don't.
But I
You know
bet
what?
you'll spend 6 hours.
And I think that one of the examples for me is I love to ask people, what time do you go to bed now versus what time did you go to bed when you were younger? There's a big generation gap. I'm ready to go to bed at 9:30, and your son Reed is ready to go out.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
It's a time warp almost in terms of generations. So yes, I do think it changes. I think meaning changes. People who have changed jobs or career paths, the whole meaning of life shifts. What's important to me, though, Whitney, is that we almost constantly be asking myself, what does this mean to me? And am I getting any pleasure out of it? And am I also pleasing to or with those that I'm engaging with? You want that if it, I always say to myself, I never want to have a drink when I'm in a bad mood. I want to have a drink when I'm ready to play. I've said that to you before.
Yes.
I'm sure I have. Because I'm not doing it to escape anything. I'm just kind of pumping up a little bit, and it's not really even that much. It's just that pleasure, I think, is I don't want to put it down.
Oh,
God
right.
knows you're not going to put it down.
I am not going to put it down. I mean, if I think of those things I'm most driven by, it might be pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm meaning certainly. I don't think I crave power, but I love pleasure. I think I've told you, the grasshopper, and what's that fable? The grasshopper and the ant is saving and foraging,
Yes.
and the grasshopper's out playing all the time. I'm the grasshopper.
Yes.
I mean, I wish I were more ant-like.
Yes.
And I am trying to be that way, but it's not my nature.
You said something, though, that let's touch on for a second. That was, I don't think I'm too much into the power. But see, that's when you might have to ask yourself, well, what does it mean to you?
Oh.
Because you see, I think we all need to have personal power.
Yes.
Personal power, meaning
I was
can
meaning
do this.
power over others.
Exactly. And that's where we can get caught in determining that power is somehow antithetical to fullness of life. It's not. We all need to claim our power.
You're right.
I have the power to get up at 6 a.m. and be at work by 8.
Mm-hmm.
I have the power to say no to this. Now, the problem we get into is because we get caught in 12-step, it says I'm powerless over something. Well, I can be powerless over maybe alcohol, but still have a great deal of power when I'm working or when I'm writing.
Yes.
I know for people, as someone who writes, I can sit down and write, and it doesn't take me that very long to do. But don't ask me to set up production, because that's not where my power is.
I see. Yes. But
So you do have power.
You're right.
You would
You're right.
accept
Thank
that.
you for
do have
reframing
power.
that.
You do have power.
Yes, I just don't crave power over a bunch of other
Not
people.
power over.
It's just me.
Yeah, it's just not a power over. But I think everybody has to, again, claim that I'm capable of. Maybe a different way of saying it. I'm
Sure.
capable of. I can do this.
It's more empowered.
It's more
than
empower.
power.
Yes. And I often ask people that when I'm working with, do you feel like you've got some power? And they'll look at me funny. I'm like, well, but you need to have power. Everybody needs to have power. to control one's attitude, to control one's thoughts, to self-discipline. You know, the power simply to just make life better. To say I have that is important.
Yes.
The three are important to me.
Yes, well, interesting.
They're not antithetical.
Right, right.
each other.
Even though they all each thought their idea was the motivator. But interesting,
Yes.
it is probably a combination
You said
of
something
three.
the other day real quick that I thought was you said when I get together with my mom and dad, we have fun. We're easy with each other. Didn't you?
I did.
You said we have fun. See, that's pleasure.
You're right.
That's pleasure.
You're right. It's not an obligation.
Yeah, and it makes it pleasant. You know, to me, again, we tie this in because don't you want life to be pleasant?
Yes.
I mean, there's enough drama in life than to go create it, but to have pleasant experience, pleasant as in pleasure. See how it's kind of realigning, reframing, redefining what these words mean to us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
And they change over the years. You're right.
They do.
They change
Thanks.
over
Good
the
reminder. Good conversation. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody.
More Weekends with Whitney after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for spending part of your Memorial Day weekend with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Today, we leave you with this.
Pluck that out and capture that.
Oh, is that right?
It is.
Oh! Got it. Oh boy.